Hi, welcome to my review of Queendom Puzzle Episode 3, the 7-on-7 team battle. Basically, the performances from the pick teams and the drop teams.
땡땡 코코투.
Now, if you're thinking that sounds a little misleading, it does, not gonna lie. I feel like this show is really hard to follow. You can let me know in the comments down below if you feel the same way. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just stupid, but I'm like, okay, so we get to pick and drop a team, right? No, the teams consist of members who have already been picked or dropped. Do you know what I mean? So there are two songs, right? Snap and Charismatic. And we had the two previous winners who could pick everybody that they wanted. And then from everybody that they picked, they were able to pick and drop people. And then that made 4 teams. Why is this a big deal? I don't know, because at the end of the day, it's still just 4 teams, right? Just because 2 people picked who they wanted doesn't mean the people who were dropped, the people who are in the dropped teams are not talented or not good. Do you know? Like, I don't know. It would make sense of like through a whole voting system that the people at the bottom were in their own teams, and then that's the spicy part of it all. But it's really just like the opinions of 2 people. So I don't, However, in true Mnet fashion, they're literally milking the most drama out of nothing. And I say this wholeheartedly because I think there is absolutely nothing dramatic about the unwanted teams, and that is exactly how they're portraying them. Like, it's literally the worst thing in the world and the saddest thing ever to be part of a drop team. But in the end, clearly that doesn't really mean anything. So I don't know. You can let me know how you feel about that. In my mind, I'm just like, I get it, but I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it in my heart. So in that sense, I do think that the entire concept of it all is a little bit flawed, especially when the judges are like, oh my God, can you imagine if a drop team did better than a pick team? And it's like, that's literally a why have a competition if you already have it in your mind that the pick teams are supposed to be better? I don't know. Anyways, regardless, we're going to be looking into the 4 different performances. So the 2 snap performances and the 2 charismatic performances. And I'm going to tell you which ones I think are the better of the 2 each. And I'm also going to share with you my MVP member for each winning team that I choose, very similar to what the judges did. Really quickly before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with friends you don't have. Subscribe, support me on Patreon, all of that jazz. Now, I actually sat down last night and watched the performances on my own. So my thoughts on everything are fresh, are unaffected by what the judges have said. I have just watched Queendom. Okay, I say that loosely because I did watch everything until the point where I don't know, guys, like, Queendom is just so, why is it such a who watches a 2-hour show? I cannot sit there. I do not have the attention span. Even for shows that I love that don't have subtitles, I cannot do it. Like, I just can't. I'm literally on my phone and my laptop at the same time while watching TV. Maybe we can blame TikTok. I don't know. I refuse to take personal responsibility for it, but it is what it is. So I watched until the judges were done, and then I kind of fucked off. But I'm wondering if that's how we should move forward from now on, that I watch the performances without any external forces possibly influencing me. In one of the performances where the contestant's shoe broke off, I forget who it was, and because Mnet was so adamant on showing us that the shoe broke off, it was just hard for me to watch the performance unaffected by that knowledge. And I can't help but think, had that not been pointed out to me, would I have noticed? I would have loved to know, like, my authentic feelings. Like, so let me know, do you want me to actually watch the show, or can I get by just watching the performances? I'll do what you guys want me to do at the end of the day. So my criteria really quickly, since everyone is painfully lip syncing, and I swear to God, if anyone in my comment section says, actually, they would never, are you kidding? They would never? I'll give you a minute to retype your comment. There's an edit option. So yes, aside from the painfully obvious lip sync, which I really wish they didn't do, I would have loved a 1-take live performance. That way we could have really judged them. But as of now, we really only have their stage presence, which isn't really, can you really consider it a stage? Just their presence as a whole, because there's no stage, it's not live. Their presence as a whole is the only thing we can really base our opinion off of, and their cohesiveness as a team. So that's what we're going to do. Starting off, we have Snap by Pick Cat. So this is a group featuring Sanga, Yuki, Cherin, Rina, Yorumpora, and Yen. And I have to say I was quite looking forward to this team, and probably because this was the pick group. The lineup just seemed really exciting to me. I've mentioned before that I really like Yen and Sanga. I don't know, there's just something about their faces. And of course, Yen, I just feel like she has a very distinct presence. Like, I left that performance thinking, oh my God, she killed it. And it's such a shame that she got such a little part. Now, I understand now that it's because she's a rapper. She's not necessarily a singer. So, of course, the lead vocal is going to be front and center. I just wasn't all that impressed by Chidin, unfortunately. And it's not that they necessarily didn't sound good. It's just that, again, when I left the performance, I didn't think, oh, wow, they sounded amazing. This song was sang beautifully by them, except Bora. Bora, of course, stood out. She had such amazing vocals. She did it the best, not gonna lie. She stood out vocally to me. Her first performance was, of course, more serious, but definitely not sultry and not cute either. But I thought, she would definitely fit the cute vibe. She has this very cute look to her. And so when it came to her performance, it did again translate a little bit more blank to me. Now, usually for main vocalists or whatever, for people who have really amazing vocals, I don't look into the stage presence too intensely. Does that make any sense? Because having amazing live vocals in and of itself is a presence of its own. Again, for her first stage, if she's singing like a high note, I'm not looking, okay, wait, is her facial expression giving something though? Like she's doing a high note, like who cares, right? Or Jungkook from ATEEZ, who I think has amazing stage presence, by the way, he's just more subtle about it and he doesn't need to do too much because I feel like the vocals itself are a presence of its own. Let me know if you agree with that or if that makes any sense. Anyways, but because everybody was lip syncing, you can only look at what you see. So for Bora specifically, I think I would have felt differently if it was live, because truly when someone is singing live, you feel something. And that is the presence of its own. That's what I was trying to explain to you guys this whole time. Anyways, but stage presence wise, it was definitely Yen, with Yeoreum coming in second place for me because I just felt like she has a very subtle presence, but it's still there, So though Bora sounded amazing, I just felt like everyone altogether didn't create the best harmony, if that makes sense. Like sound wise, it didn't sound amazing to me. And I do have to say there were a lot of blank expressions. Now, stage presence isn't just like smiling to the camera. It's something that you feel, in my opinion, and I wasn't super feeling it for everybody. But overall, this was my first performance to watch, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if this was going to be the best of the best. Do you know what I mean? Like I've seen enough 4th gen performances to know that this could be considered top tier. Do you know what I mean? So moving on to Snap by Athena, which is the drop group. Now this group features Judy, Ellie, Miru, Hiso, Doha, Ki, and Fai. Kai. No, not even Kai. Damn it. There's something about K. So just based on the lineup itself, I have to admit I wasn't the most excited about it. And it makes sense. Like I feel like they were really playing into that when they did the pick groups versus the drop groups, because even me not really knowing the contestants all that well, I could already feel like the favoritism, if that makes sense. And that's literally the point. I'm not calling out favoritism. That's literally the point of the pick versus drop, right? So I wasn't the most excited about this lineup, but I was pleasantly surprised because Huiso, right from the beginning, like her energy was just perfect, amazing, wonderful. And her facial expressions, just everything, like really made me so intrigued. And I thought maybe, it's going to be a Huiso and Friends type deal, kind of like the last performance was Yen and Friends, unfortunately. But as everybody kept on performing, I was like, oh, damn. They seem a hell of a lot more cohesive than the first group. Like just the facial expressions and the presence and everything made it really fun to watch. Like they just didn't look like dead fish who didn't want to be there. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in that. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily wrong, even though calling someone a dead fish who doesn't want to be there sounds very negative. But you do tend to see it in a lot of K-pop performances when they're doing these more sultry concepts. They end up having very blank expressions, which to some people might translate as something sultry, but to me just translate as very blank. So I like seeing something more than that, which is what I think this group brought us. And I mean, don't get me wrong, while I absolutely dread the like I'm too cool to ever move my face in a performance type thing, who am I to yuck your yum? If you like that, that's totally fine. I've gotten really canceled in the past for wanting more out of a performance, so let's not go there. Now, there were still some blank faces in this performance, but overall, it seemed a lot more balanced. And after watching both performances, I think my perfect lineup, like the most perfect performance, I think would be if we switched out this lineup, Miru and K. If we switched up Miru and K for Yen and Yeoreum from the first performance, I feel like it would have been an all-rounder, an all-kill. Is that a word? But otherwise, I definitely would pick the drop group. Nothing necessarily against them. I just feel like they might have fit a different concept a little bit better. Overall, the stage presence was better in the drop team, and I think cohesively they sounded a lot better than the pick team, actually, and rightfully so. The judges also picked the drop team, and their MVP was actually the same MVP that I would have picked, Huiso. So with that, let's move on to the charismatic performances, starting off with Drop the Beat. So this is the drop team featuring Suyun, Jui, Soyeon, Zoa, Yeonhee, and Sujin. So of course the vibe is completely changed with this. Rather than something more sultry girl crush, it's a lot cuter. And Zoa literally took my breath away. I don't know what it is about her. She charmed the hell out of me. And it's not enough just to smile. There are smiles galore in both of these performances. It's not enough just to smile. That's not presence, a lot of people will say. I do appreciate a little smile here and there. I think it helps with the presence, but it's not the sole factor. But like, she charmed the hell out of me. I don't know what it was. Definitely appreciated her presence. Actually, I think a lot of them did really well, but the second member that really stood out to me was Suyun. I felt like she brought a similar energy forward. I mean, granted, it is a cuter concept, so they're all going to an extent bring forward a similar energy, but it's kind of like this fresh, cute energy, but she brought a little bit of a sultry nature to it without veering too much into a completely different concept and seeming like she was on the wrong stage. So I appreciated the subtle nature of sultriness that she brought forward, and it was really nice. Like super, super subtle. Do you know what I mean? Like it was different from Zoa, who had zero sultry. Do you know what I mean? On a scale of 1 to 5. Zoa was more cute and upbeat, while Suyun brought a slight sultry twist to that. So of course she was so fun and upbeat. Okay, moving on. I do have to ask you guys, which song is your favorite? Aside from whoever did whatever performance, do you prefer Snap versus Charismatic? Because Charismatic to me is like miles ahead of Snap. Just like, it's not even a question. Like the production value, everything, choreography is just so much better in my opinion. And I'm like, they're they're not even comparable. But anyways, let me know in the comments down below. Overall, I think they did really well. And actually, I believed them as a team. I don't think there was one member where I thought, we could do without her, or she's bringing the energy of it all down. They all more or less complemented each other, with a few members standing out in a certain way, but not necessarily feeling like a someone and friends situation. Which brings us to Charismatic by Pick the Top. This is, of course, the pick group featuring Ju, Jihan, Nana, Jiwon, Uyeon, and Soin. So this team originally had Cheon in it. I forgot to take note of which group originally had Haein in it, but we saw Cheon at the beginning, like in the training session, like giving all her wisdom away just to gracefully leave. So I just thought that was interesting. Immediately as the performance began, I noticed the difference in vibe. So while both of them are doing a cute concept, I did notice a more serious intention behind this group in a way that made me like question it, to be honest, because I'm like, wait, isn't this like a cuter concept? Like, it's totally fine. Again, like I mentioned, Suyun from the first performance, she brought like a sultry twist to it, and it totally made sense within the context of everything. But here I felt like it felt like a little too serious. Like it felt like they were trying to bring like a whole ass girl crush concept to this. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the members looked angry. Like in the beginning, Ju looked like she wanted to kill me, and Nana looked like we had a 10-year beef or something. I just feel like something got lost in translation. I'm not sure. And again, I do feel like there were more blank stares, which I've mentioned before tend to be favored for a more sultry concept. So to me, it just wasn't super translating well. Just by the way they were carrying themselves, I do think they were trying to distinguish themselves from the more cute group. So in that sense, it makes a little bit of sense, but also, does it fit? That's the question I have. The member who stood out to me the most was Jiwon. I feel like she had a really nice balance between the two concepts that I feel like the group was struggling between. And Nana also stood out to me, but in a different way. Like she was definitely very cute, but it felt like she was extra cute to the point that it didn't fit what everyone else was doing. Now, I know this might be controversial because I feel like the judges said the exact opposite, that Nana stood out. Like they literally picked Nana as the VIP. Spoiler alert, I'm so sorry. I just felt like that energy would have been better suited for the drop team, to be honest, because the energy of the pick team was just a little bit different. However, they really were able to bring all of their energy in a more consistent manner during the raining scene, which was so enjoyable to watch. And in the filming of it all, they looked cold as hell and miserable as hell, and you could not tell, which I think is amazing. Overall, I think I'm gonna have to pick the drop team once again, with my personal MVP being Zoa. I don't know what it is about Zoa. She's charming as hell, with Suyeon being like this close behind her, to be honest. It's still playing? I literally can't with this show that has no business being this long. Anyways, maybe it's next week's episode. Maybe it's still this episode where they're going to be covering popular K-pop groups and the live audience is going to pick the winners. I don't know. I stopped watching it. What the hell? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with friends you don't have. These are the lovely patrons who support me on a monthly basis, and you can too by joining my Patreon. I have a bunch of different tiers: first gen tier, second gen tier, third gen tier, and so on. As for me, I'm gonna get going, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye!